Good afternoon, Socrates.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the program.
Good. Since Gregory led you down the road of government, I have a question with regards to the government. Well, opposition in this case.
Yes.
And I wanted to ask you, what do you see is as the role of the opposition in St. Kitts and Nevis?
The role of the opposition in any democracy is to, I would say, shadow the government when they pass legislation, to challenge them on it, be involved in the governance of the country. Now, there's the role of the leader of the opposition, who is in parliament. He has to be as a counterbalance to legislation and what's happening. His voice has to be heard. If there is legislation that benefits the country, support it. If the policy is being advanced that does not, let your voice be heard. But your presence in any democracy must be visible. You must be heard, and you must be seen to represent the interests of the people on a whole. Whether you're government or not, right, you're part of that structure.
Right. I agree with most of what you said.
Okay.
Right. The primary role is to scrutinize and oppose the government. Right. Policies, legislation, like you just said. So not even just when bills are being brought forth, but when things are happening, the role is to challenge the government.
Speak to balance, yeah.
To create a balance and to represent the people of the nation in that counterbalance.
Correct.
So in regards to all of that, do you think that under the current situation that we have in St. Kitts and the way, obviously the Constitution provides for it, that we have a proper balance and a proper opposition that doesn't operate to the detriment of the people of Nevis and also to the detriment of the people of St. Kitts who are entitled to the opposition? Because the way I see it, if the opposition fiercely challenges the government, it can be seen to, in some ways, operate counterintuitively and against the interests of the people of Nevis. And again, I don't see a proper setup in the parliamentary system that allows for this to happen effectively in the way that it's currently supposed to work and the way it's currently being operated. I see a huge flaw in that system.
I am in total agreement with you. I was at a forum this morning where the Prime Minister was engaging the members from the private and public sector to get involved in the conversation. It's called 90 Days of Citizenship and Security. The leader of the PAM party, the Honorable Ms. Gray, what's her first name? She was there along with the deputy, and then they were recognized as the leader of the opposition. And then about maybe 45 minutes later on, the Honorable Mark Brantley showed up. Isn't he the de facto leader of the opposition?
That is my understanding based on the amount of parliamentary seats, isn't it?
Correct.
Right. So that is my understanding of it. And I gave it a really good analysis yesterday and bounced it off some family members. And it just appears to me that this whole thing is really counterintuitive. It can't really work. It really can't work because at the end of the day, he's the
Premier of Nevis.
Right, has
part
a
of the
role
government.
and a function. Right. He's somehow part of the federal government any way you slice it.
You're correct, so he cannot be officially the leader of the opposition, whatever the structure is. He cannot be effectively representing the opposition interests.
That is exactly my conclusion. And I can't understand how this is happening and how it goes on because irrespective, I have respect for Mark, I have respect for everybody in the political sphere, but right is right and the people deserve what they're supposed to have. And I can't see how this is right in any way. I think what needs to happen in any event is there needs to be a better balance because obviously there's 8 seats in St. Kitts. What is it, 3 in Nevis?
3 in Nevis, yeah, 11 seats totally.
And so so no matter how you slice it, it doesn't really fit the way it should. I think it's time for either Nevis to get one or perhaps 2 more seats, if possible, because the Constitution says there shall be no less than 3 seats. And that would effectively create a better balance, because the people of the Federation as a whole are not getting what they're supposed to get.
Not being properly served.
No, they're entitled to their opposition.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not happening. I cannot see it happening. Not without being to the detriment of Nevis and by extension
the country as a whole. Because I saw some feedback online where the honorable gentleman was supposed to make some remarks in his capacity as a leader of the opposition. And right. they take away from that. Nobody want to hear from you, because they don't see him in that role as the actual, being the de facto leader of the opposition. So that role has to be recognized, and such you have to be active. You have to be proactive in that role. It's very important.
It has to be.
Very visible.
Even with members of my family who staunchly supports the honourable member from Nevis.
Generally, yeah.
And I support him as well, but where this is supposed to work for the nation, I cannot support a system that doesn't work for the benefit of the nation.
It's impractical.
It is. It really is. So something needs to be done about this.
Well, there is a cause for national debate, but sometimes we get too partisan. We don't want to touch certain things, but you're right. And as you say, in the local plans, we're going on a morning. Can't go wait in the evening. Right?
Well, something is going to have to be done about this, because I'm
the
not
current structure.
For this. I'm a citizen, and I'm not happy with this arrangement in any event. Don't care who is in power. There should be opposition to it. That is what makes this thing work. That is what makes the democracy work.
So do you have an opinion as to why there aren't many other voices raised against it?
I think a lot of people don't understand the way the system is set up, the Constitution is meant to operate, and so they just sort of go along with what is there.
That's part of our problem. Yep. We go along with what's there because we don't want to upset the status quo. We don't want to offend anybody. And that's part of the problem.
That is it. And you know, there's something else that I would probably talk about, but I'm going to leave it for today. But that's, you know, growing up in St. Kitts and Nevis, that's all you hear. But that is how it is. But that is how we got to be. That's not what's written.
It's people like you that make a difference. I want to thank you for bringing it to the attention of the, to national debate, and let's see where that goes. Right?
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you for your contribution to the program. Okay. That was a very important call. That was a topic that's been out there just discussing and brush aside. But we will take a break at the moment and see what happens on the other side.